Isn't it weird that as soon as you focus on yourself and start to heal your wounds, people around you seem to be afraid of the new version of you? And some connections start to fade away, or you just feel like you belong even less with them, like they don't even understand you anymore. If you are in a healing journey or awakening journey, you already know how it feels to lose friends or relationship as soon as you start to heal yourself. And unfortunately, there are many people that don't even want to change or start the healing journey just because they hear others say that they will lose friends when they start to do that, and the thought of losing them makes some people terrified. And you might be wondering, why is that exactly? Or why does it have to be like this? But actually, it makes perfect sense to lose people once you start to heal and love yourself. And the bad news is that it's more your fault than from other people. Let me explain. So to heal is to experience the opposite. And a trauma is caused by a conflict where no resolution took place. So to heal a trauma, you have to find a resolution to the past event that caused you all that pain. When you experience a conflict and no resolution takes place, or it's just not possible at that time, the function of your ego is to help you survive that. And he does that by creating strategies and behaviors that help us decrease, manage, or eliminate the level of distress caused by external events. This is what a coping mechanism is. So, the ego forces you to push parts of you away, parts that made you vulnerable or were not acceptable to others. But what happens when you push parts of you away? Do they really disappear? Of course not. You wouldn't have all this pain and shame if that would be possible. So what happens is that your consciousness creates a split. The one side are the aspects and personalities that your parents and others despised, or that you perceived as being despised by them. And on the other side are all the aspects that were acceptable by your parents and the others. The psychology calls it fragmentation. I'm going to make a video about it very soon. Now, people have the tendency to only want to heal and expand when there is so much pain that they just cannot continue like that. When life doesn't hurt that much, we tend to not change a lot and we start to behave always the same way and we practically become robots. And here is where life kinda has to give us a push, and by that I mean a painful event happens to make us see that we are not expanding, evolving, healing, and so on. So once you come to a place in your life where you are just tired of all that pain and all the things you don't understand inside of you, and you start your healing journey, what you will notice is that you start to become aware of your own behaviors, patterns, coping mechanisms, and unhealed traumas. And once you become aware of that, you will notice that the way that you are living and reacting to life is the same way that your caregivers and others in your environment lived and react to their lives. So here you start to see that you were never truly authentic, and that your belief system and even what you like and don't like is actually based on what others like and don't like. And once people start to realize that is when the journey of discovering the true self begins. And you start to discover what truly is your thing, what you like, what you don't like, what you tolerate, and so on. But here you already have your group of friends and family members and all the connections that you have before you even started your healing journey. So as you can see here, you have all those different types of connections, but based on your unauthentic version of being. When you started any type of connection that you have, you weren't being authentic. You show them a fake version of you and not the totality of you. So once you start to heal, to reconnect with yourself, to discover who you truly are and start to express that, your friends and other types of connections that you have, they may be saying, sorry, but when I met you, you weren't like this. I didn't sign up for this type of connection. Even though you can now give them a better type of connection and go a lot deeper, they are probably not ready for that. Your connection is as deep as you are able to go. So if you aren't afraid of feeling anymore, and you aren't afraid of being vulnerable and open up, but your friends are, they will be scared and feel really uncomfortable around you. And if you were a person who did everything for others and was always there for them, once you heal and start to put yourself first, and that means you will not lose yourself or abandon yourself anymore just to please others, those connections will feel threatened by you because you don't do what they want anymore. This is when people start to saying things like, oh my God, you changed a lot. You are not there for me anymore like you were. You don't help me the same way that you did before. You're kind of weird now. I don't even recognize you. And so on. And they are actually right. You did change. You stopped being a fake version of yourself. This stage of your healing, when this starts to happen, is not pleasant at all. Because even though you know that if you lose them, then it's because they weren't really your friends. But you still had a connection with them. And even though it was a superficial connection, it doesn't matter, because it was the kind of connection that you knew how to have at that time. So it still sucks. Don't make the mistake to diminish their value or make it seem that it doesn't affect you when it does. The reality is, if you had that connection, is because you were exactly like them. Not personality, but the type of connection. You were a match. You didn't knew how to have a better connection. Otherwise, you wouldn't be together. Something that a lot of people also try to do when they start to heal is trying to convince others to do the same and push them to grow as much and at the same pace as you. But if you do this, this is you being extremely unfair to them. If someone wants to heal, evolve, and grow, then it shouldn't be because you are dragging them, but because they see you doing it and they are curious and choose to do that because they want. If you constantly try to convince others to come along you and to do what you do just because you really don't want to lose that connection, then you aren't being a good friend. Because the message that you are giving is, I will only continue to like you if you change the way you are. You have to accept that some people you have a great connection with may not be ready to grow and heal. They just aren't interested. Everybody has a different pace. Some go faster and others need more time. And it is by you accepting that and being able to see them for who they are and understanding why they don't want to heal or grow, will you then be able to show them what unconditional love is. You can still have a connection with them if you like, but probably not the same as before. And other connections will fade away, simply because your true version and their version of being don't match anymore. You cannot give them what they need, and they cannot give you what you need. But you still can be grateful for the past memories and experiences that you had with them and carry that with you, the same time as accepting who they are without wanting them to change. Instead of wanting others to come along and try to convince your old connections to grow as fast as you do, you should learn how to form new connections with the new version of you. Now that you know better where you are, what you like and don't like, and so on, go to those places where there are more people like you with the same interest. You shouldn't expect just one friend or partner to fulfill all your needs. That is impossible. You should outsource your needs as much as possible. It is healthy to have different groups of connections where maybe one you come together to practice something, and others where you know you can be vulnerable and open, and others to travel, and others who are your chosen family, not exactly your birth family, and so on. But if you want to not feel lonely or empty or disconnected, it is crucial for you to have all those connections from your true version of being, from your authentic self, where you are not ashamed to express who you are. And if you are lonely with no friends or connections, then that is an indicator that you should invest your time to learn how to connect with yourself as well with others. And you should also invest your time to learn how to not be afraid to make new connections, or at least to understand why you are so afraid to connect with people and heal that. So in my case, I had a stage in my life, in my healing journey, where I was a lot isolated for more than a year. But I wasn't unhappy or lonely, because I was aware that I needed to isolate myself to learn, to heal, and express my true self. I knew that I couldn't do that while I was in a relationship or with a large group of friends. I was kind of a people pleaser, so once I would have a connection, I would completely lose and abandon myself to become whatever the other person wanted me to be. But since I was never afraid of being alone, because I grew up in an environment where I had to learn how to deal with my problems alone without help, for this reason, it was more beneficial for me to isolate and learn first who I am and express that, and only then create new connections with my true version of being, and without me losing myself again in a connection. Every time you feel like you are losing a connection, ask yourself, is it possible for me to be my authentic version of being with that person? Did I express clearly to that connection what I need from them or what was bothering me? Is it possible to create a resolution that makes the connection unbroken without us being unauthentic or sacrificing something? If your answer is no to all, then it indicates that you still have to learn more about how to connect with others and express yourself without being ashamed. And it can also be that what you are seeing is an incompatible connection, and it's up to you to decide if you accept that by letting go, or you abandon yourself again just to stay in that connection. You are the one that decides what kind of consequences are you willing to choose and live with. Your own body will tell you what is best for you to do. The majority of people are actually more aligned to go through this process during a relationship or having all those connections. There is no the right way on doing this. Just listen to yourself and let your soul guide you. Only you can know what the better option is for you. I hope this helped you in some way, and as usual, I wish you a very nice week.